We're going to take a little sidestep and talk about unit conversions. So unit conversions mean we want to get it down to a unit rate, how much it is per one of something. So for example, in this one right here, it is saying that, if we call this example number 1, it's saying that there are exactly 2.54 centimeters per inch. That's a unit rate. 2.54 centimeters per unit per 1 inch. I'd like to know how many centimeters are in 1 foot. Well, I'm going to set up a proportion down here. And 1 inch, I can't put 1 foot right here because, as you remember, you have to match your labels. So we were doing centimeters to inches here. We still have to do centimeters to inches, but I think we all know that's a quick fix because instead of putting 1 foot here, I can say I have 12 inches. A simple cross multiplication or cross swords, maybe as Mrs. Senlensky called it last year. 2.54 times 12, well, let's take out our handy dandy calculator over here. 2.54 times 12 gets me 30.48 centimeters per 1 foot. Now it's going to be very important that we write our labels because we are talking about units of some sort. So the unit here we were talking about was 1 foot. A bathtub contains 14.5 cubic feet of water. Notice I'm underlining anything that I think is important. Water drains out of the bathtub at a rate of 4 gallons per minute. How long will it take to drain the bathtub? Well, here's another clue. There are 7.5 gallons of water per cubic foot. All right, so if I have 14.5 cubic feet, and I know there's 7.5 gallons of water per cubic foot, so let's take a side step here and find out how many gallons are in our bathtub. 14.5 times 7.5 equals 108.75. So I have 108.75 gallons in that bathtub. Now it tells me that I drain at a rate of 4 gallons per minute. So if I divide this by 4, it's going to tell me how many minutes it takes me to drain this. So bring back my calculator. I already have my 108.75 there. Divide it by 4. 27.1875. All right, so let's see, did I use everything? 14.5 cubic feet of water was multiplied by 7.5 gallons per cubic foot to give me how many total gallons I have. Divide that by 4, because 4 come out every minute. So now I have 27. Okay, good. And what's this last part right here? My answer may be rounded to the nearest minute. So 27.1. So my final answer would be 27 minutes. Now, I like these because tomorrow we're going to do a really fun question in class. And it's going to deal with miles per hour. So let's get used to miles per hour and feet per second. So if I were traveling 45 miles per hour, that's my unit rate. 45 miles per 1 hour. But I want to get that down into feet. per second. What if I change the color a little bit here? I'm looking a little bright. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to change this hour right here into 60 minutes. And that's an equivalent. So I'm doing 45 miles for every 60 minutes. Now notice I didn't have to change the 45 because these are equivalent. 60 minutes, 60 seconds per 60 minutes tells me that there's 3,600 seconds in 60 minutes, so that means there's 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. So now I'm doing 45 miles for 3,600 seconds. So I've got my seconds on the bottom almost, but now I got to get my feet up top. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to remember that there's 5,280 feet per mile, and I have 45 miles. So if I multiply those two together, I have 237,600 feet. Pen's getting really slow here. For 3,600 seconds. Now, if I divide that out, 3,600, whoops, backwards, 237,600 divided by 3,600, that is going to give me, I'm going about 66 feet per 1 second. Now I divided because this tells me to divide. And that's how I can get down to a unit rate. A local factory has to add a liquid ingredient to make their product at a rate of 13 quarts every 5 minutes. All right, so now we have a little bit of an issue right here. We have 13 quarts every 5 minutes. This is not a unit rate. 13 quarts every 5 minutes. Well, if I want to get that down to a unit rate, I'm going to have to divide that out. So I'm going to take a second here. I'm going to bring out my calculator, and I'm going to divide this out. 13 divided by 5 gives me 2.6. Well, I'm going to stay in this minimized screen so I don't have to keep going back and forth. So that gives me 2.6 quarts per 1 minute. So now I'm down to a unit rate. How much per minute? How many gallons per hour of the ingredients do they need to add? Okay, well, an hour is 60 minutes. So I can multiply this by 60. But since I'm changing it, I'm going to have to multiply this by 60 also. So 1 minute times 60 is 60 minutes. And then 2.6 times 60 equals 156 quarts. Right? Because we were working in quarts up here. That didn't answer the question because it said how many gallons per hour do they need to add. So if we need to add 156 quarts per 1 hour, we got to figure out, well, how many gallons is that? And again, you have to remember that a gallon contains 4 quarts. So I'm going to have to take this 156 and divide it by 4 to figure out how many gallons are in there. Let's see, 4 goes into 15 3 times, which would give me 12, 3, 4 goes into 36 9 times. So I need 39 gallons per hour. There's another way to do that. Somebody could have said this. Well, 13 quarts every 5 minutes. Well, how many 5 minutes are there in an hour? Well, there's 12. So you could have come over here and you would have said 13 times 12 gets me, well, look at that, 156 again. So I could have said that. I could have gone here and said, all right, I could have gotten the 156 per 1 hour also by looking at how many 5 minutes there were in an hour. So there's always more than one way to do this. Okay, the last one we're going to look at is some farming here. Let me get my pen that I like. A tractor can plant a field of 2.5 acres per 5 minutes. All right, so I'm going to come over here, 2.5 acres per 5 minutes. That's my rate. If a mammoth farm measuring 4 square miles needs planting, how long will it take in hours to plant this field? Well, then they give me another clue here. There are 640 acres in a square mile. All right, well, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do a little math. They're telling me that I have 4 square miles. And there are 640 acres in a square mile. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do 640 times 4. And that means I have 2,560 acres that need planting. All right, now when I come back over here, well, I can do a couple of things. I can figure out how long a unit rate is. I can take 2.5 acres and divide it by 5. And when I do that, I get 0.5 acres per 1 minute. So in other words, I can do a half an acre a minute. And look how many acres I've got to plant, 2,560. So what can I do? Well, I can set up another proportion. All right, so this proportion would say 0.5 acres is to 1 minute. That's 2,560 acres is to how many minutes? Let's get out our calculator again. Do our little cross multiplying or cross swords here. 2,560 0.5x. I'm going to have to divide by 0.5. 2,560 divided by 0.5 equals, what was that, 5,120? 5,120. Minutes. Does that answer my question? Well, let me see up here. I got so much stuff written up here. Let me see what they want me to do. They want me to do, oh, now my eraser's moving really slow. They want me to do hours. So 5,120 minutes. I'm going to divide that by 60. So it's 85.33 hours, which is 85 1/3. And let's see, did they ask me to round anywhere? Nope. So it's 85 1/3, and I'll put my famous label, hours. Now this isn't the only way to do it. There are lots of different ways to do it. In fact, the first time I didn't do it this way at all. But I thought I'd keep in context with the ratios. All right. Tomorrow, we're going to look at Usain Bolt, fastest man in the world. Bye.